Alright, Title 49 CFR Part 234 Grades Cause Safety HGC 3 Subpart C Warning System malfunctions at highway rail grade cross. Problem with the highway rail grade cross warning system malfunctions. Understand what the railroads require. Maintain records of reported malfunctions. Highway rail grade crossing warning systems. Caution, the following presentation was developed to provide general information. For the detailed compliance information, please refer to Title 49 CFR 234 with the grade crossing safety includes signal system, state of the action plan, emergency notification system. It's recommended that each employee refer to the appropriate manual of regulation when dealing in the specific issue. Information in the FRA grade crossing safety standards are considered to be a minimum standard allowed for installation, inspection, maintenance, repair, highway, railroad grade crossing warning system device appliance. Each railroad may adopt the more stringent standard for your railroad signal standards and instructions manual for their guidance. Title 49 CFR Part 234 Subpart C Railroad Issue Rules. Employees respond malfunction timely manner. Defines activation failure. Defines partial activation failure. Defines fault activation. Outlines recording requirements. 234.101 Employee Notification Rules. Section requires each railroad issue for the rules requiring that the employees report malfunction highway railroad grade crossing warning system. Designate railroad employee or employees that such a report shall be made with the quickest means of communication available. Application of the intent of this section of each of the railroad used issue the employees rule to require employees to report with the quickest means available to any activation failure, partial activation, or fault activation on highway railroad grade crossing warning system. The railroad must designate a person or person to whom all such reports must be made. But the railroad may do the inserting information and the times eligible, special instructions, general orders, etc. Example order. Rule 101, all ABC railroad companies' employees are required to report to the highway grade crossing warning system malfunction as soon as possible and by the quickest means available. Report must be made directly by the railroad designated person, dispatcher, controller, desk, etc. 234.103 Timely response to the report malfunction section required for the one credible report with the malfunction highway grade crossing warning system has been received. The railroad having the maintenance and responsible for the warning system shall promptly investigate the report. Further, such malfunction found to be because of the fault of the component, such components shall be adjusted, repaired, replaced within undue delay as required in section 234.207. 234.103 Timely response report malfunction crossing whether it has been determined that the warning system is not intended functioning as intended in section 234.207. The report's requirements for the adjustment, repair, replacement without undue delay applies. 234.103 Time response for the report malfunction credible report highway grade crossing warning system malfunction defined in 234.5. The report from a railroad employee, law enforcement officer, a highway traffic official, or other employee of the public agency acting on the official capacity. 234.103 Timely response report with the malfunction section also requires that the railroad provide alternative means of warning highway traffic or railroad employees in accordance with section 234.105, 234.106, or 234.107. Until such malfunction has been investigated, repair with the correction warning system completed with the system is discontinued, dismantled. 234.103 Timely response with the report malfunction section specifies that nothing regulation for the railroads continually repair with the warning system that under state law may be retired. However, the railroad must still comply with the subpart during retirement proceedings. The section requires until the repair, continue, erection, discontinue, or dismantling of the system is completed. The railroad must comply with this part. Alright, 234.105 Activation Failure. Section requires the railroad have the maintenance responsibility for the warning system prompt action with the provide alternative means of warning highway use of the railroad employee for the specific crossing with a credible report of the system malfunction involved with the activation failure has been received. This section further requires specific action to be involved, provide with the alternative warning. Shows activation failure, no traffic, no lights or flashing train present. Application. When the railroad received the credible warning system malfunction involved with the activation failure with the required with the prompt action, notify the train crews of the railroads operating over such crossing prior to the next train operation over the cross. Application. Notify the law enforcement agency having the jurisdiction over such crossing with the railroad police for the capable of responding control of the vehicle traffic at the crossing. Take action to ensure the employees of the law enforcement agency provide with the required alternative the means of the warning highway user at the crossing. Application in this section also requires the locomotive audible warning device activated in accordance with the railroad rules when the locomotive is approaching the crossing with the active failure activation failure has occurred with the reference of the railroad rules has due to the manner in which the horn is sounded, sound horn in accordance with the railroad operating rules, etc. Application. The section preempts the state law whistle bans respect to use of the horn under circumstances addressed in this section. Application. When there's an alternative means of warning, there is less than one flagger over each direction of the highway traffic as say available at the crossing train must not exceed 15 miles an hour until the locomotive has passed over the crossing. Application. If there is no appropriately equipped flagger, uniformed law enforcement officer, uniformed railroad police officer that provide alternative wearing, each truck must stop and a member of the train crew must dismount with the locomotive to flag highway traffic to stop before a train occupied with the crossing. 234-106 partial activation. Upon receipt of the credible report with the partial activation railroad head of the maintenance responsible for the warning system shall promptly initiate the efforts to warn the highway use of the railroad employee with the subject crossing with the same manner as required with the false activation. 234-107 partial activation failure. Full warning not given as each of the lane approaching traffic. And then it shows the partial activation failure. Gate arm broken, holding flash, marking light. False Act 234-107, the false activation section requires that the railroad have the maintenance responsible for the warning system take prompt active action, provide alternative means of the warning highway used for the railroad employees specifically crossing over the credible report of the system malfunction involved with the false activation has been received. Section furthermore requires specific action for the be filed, provide with the alternative warning. False activation, no individual drove over the meridian against for the traffic to get around the gates, light flashing, no trains are present. 234-107, the false activation. When railroad receive the credible report of false activation, required to take prompt action with the notice of the train crews of the railroad operating over the crossing prior to the next train operation over the cross. False activation 107, false activation 234-107, false activation over the law enforcement agency have the jurisdiction over the crossing of the railroad police for the capable of the responding with the control vehicle traffic gate of the crossing take action ensure the employees of the law enforcement agency provides required alternative means of warning for the highway users at the crossing. Appendix B, the Part 234 shows the type of flagger of each direction, police, present flagger, only one direction traffic, and no flagger police. False activation, partial activation, and activation failure when flagger each direction, police are present there, and flagger in one direction of the traffic, all are normal speed, and proceed with caution maximum 5 miles per hour. The only difference, no flagger, no police. At the false activation, partial activation proceed with caution max 15 miles an hour. Activation failure, no flagger, no police. Stop, crew member flag, traffic reboard. 234-109, record keeping. Sections require the railroad to keep the record each credible report with the warning system malfunction. The section specifies the information that is recorded, and each record shall maintain on the file with available to inspection by the FAA for the purpose period of at least 1 year from the day of the last railroad activity in connection with such report. Continue. Each record shall contain the following information: location of the day, location of the crossing by highway name and the dot A or crossing inventory number, time and the day of the railroad receipt of the report, action taken by the railroad to comply with section 234-105, 234-106, and 234-107, and the time of the date and action taken may make final repair correction. The system is dismantled or removed. Instead of the repaired date of the removal should be recorded. Continued shows example of the credible record and continued. Each record credible report warning device and shows specific information regarding malfunction identified by the highway grade crossing supply railroad employee, law enforcement, high traffic official with the other employee with a public agency with official capacity. Note regards who the reports incident of the credible report. Some of the consider the credible report, i.e. my grandmother reports single malfunction to the police department who then reports it to the railroad. SNTC Fundamentals, Title 49, CFR 23, Subpart C, Responsible Credit Reports, Warning Systems, Malfunction, Highway Rail Grade Crossing, the end.